Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are doing another episode of my backstory, talking about past events, over the 20-something years. There's some interesting things that have happened that, just through fishing. The last episode, we talked about a really big one. We talked about the classic, but I told you guys a story on day 2, how day 3 would have never happened. That 29 pounds would have never happened because I almost did not make it back to the weigh-in on day 2. And we went all off into that, and I don't think a lot of people really knew I almost didn't make it back on day 2 of that classic. This week, we're going to talk about something way different. We're going to go way back. I dug in the box. I got a whole bunch of stuff in here to 2002, November of 2002, the Bassmaster Open on Sam Rayburn. Back then, they just had gone from, that spring there was 4 opens, in the Central Division, the Northern Division. Then that fall, they changed it to 3 opens. So you only had 3 opens to make the Classic, 3 opens to stay qualified, and you got to realize back then, guys, I didn't have any money at all. And it was a tough event. In the fall, if I pick out the standing sheet and I look down the standing sheet, Slade Dearman, Randy Dearman's son, he's leading it with a big old stringer, 22 pounds. But then second really drops off. Ray Scheid, 17. Clun, 17. You go to like 20th place, James Moynia, big-time FLW pro. He's got 12 pounds. 50th place, Clark Ream, 3 fish for 9 pounds. So a really tough event. After the first day of the event, I was sitting in 11th place, 13 pounds. So I'm sitting good, Then we go fish the second day. Sitting good. Let me see where I'm at here. I'm wanting to make the Classic because that's where I'll get some money from sponsors. Second day, I move up to 9th. So I had 9 pounds. Only had 9 pounds the second day, and I move up. I got 23 pounds total. So, man, I'm feeling so good about my chances. But, everybody fishes that third day. It's not like they cut it back then. I've got a lot of weight on my shoulders going into that third day, and I didn't sleep any that night. None. I'm trying to make the Classic. This would have been my 3rd Classic. I missed it in 01, like I said, made the 02, and that's a whole nother story we'll talk about. And I am pre-qualifying for the 03 Classic. The Opens, you could double qualify back then through the Tour and the Opens, if you fished both of them. We're going into the final day. I don't sleep any. I wake up early. First one at the boat ramp. I put in there at the dam. There's that, I forget what they call that park pavilion right there, but it's the one right at the dam. They've really redone it now. And I got to run out all the way around the other boat ramp and back into Twin Dykes Marina. That's where we took off from, was all the way back in Twin Dykes Marina. And this year the lake was super low, super low. And you got to realize, like, there wasn't mapping back then. We didn't have Navionics. We didn't have CMAP. We didn't have all that stuff we have now. And I'm running. I've got my amateur in the boat. Toosh. It was just the waves, in the dark. I'll never forget it. And it was a dark night. Like, we just had a little bit of a sliver of a moon. There was no even crack of daylight. It was way too early. And I'm going pretty hard, just like an idiot. And at the last second, I see this land in front of me, and I'm miles offshore. And for all you guys at Rayburn, you know the exact spot I'm talking about. And I make a split-second decision, man. I've got this island, and I'm scared because those waves, that I'm gonna if I try to turn real quick, I'm gonna maybe roll or really do some damage to my boat on that island. And last second, I floor it, and I try to I'm gonna just jump the island. James Bond jumped the islands, why couldn't I do it? And I hit the island, and man, I jerk forward, my guy jerks forward, and I make it, and the boat just boop, and it just makes it over the crest of that island. I'm gonna say that island was that far out of the water. One of the biggest blessings in disguises was, one, there's no rock on the island, it's clay. There wasn't no stumps right where I went. There's stumps everywhere, but there was no stumps right where I went. And that the wind was blowing, because if the wind hadn't blown, the top of that island wouldn't have been wet. And here I am, 26, 27 years old, the final day of an event, sitting good in the standings, but I know if I can just go catch some fish today, I'll make the Classic. That's a huge deal. I think they take 3 or 4 back then in the Opens, maybe 5. I don't remember. No, they took 5. They did. They took 5. We'll get into who made it. And so here I am. My boat makes it over the crest. The motor just kicks up, you know, under all that pressure. So I trim the motor up. And I don't know where the strength come from, but I get out, get my guy out, and I push and I push and I push, and I get that boat back into the water. I don't know how to this day it happened. It was a miracle from God, because it's like that boat was on the slickest clay you could ever imagine, and I was able to push that whole thing, and the nose of it wasn't even yet to the water. I'd love to know who was with me that day. If you guys are watching, like, just tell me your recollection of the story. But man, I got it back in the water, got it floating. I remember I called Matt Reed. I was like, man, I'm stuck on this island. I don't know what to do. I woke him up. He wasn't even asleep yet, or he wasn't even awake yet. I woke, that's how early I was. I'm like, man, bring ropes, bring this, bring that. I'm hoping my boat's gonna float. I'm hoping I didn't rip any holes in the bottom of it. I'm hoping, you know, I was panicked, like panicked. And I'll never forget it. I was able to push that boat. I moved the front back and forth, and I'd get in the back and I'd push it, you know, and it'd move it an inch, and I'd get in the front and I'd move it back and forth. By the grace of God, I got that boat floating. There wasn't a hole in it. My bilge pump never come on. The prop still, I was able to get it on pad. I get around there to Twin Dykes. I mean, heart pumping, adrenaline through the roof. You know, I'm probably in 26. I was probably in pretty good shape. Not like, you know, now, but man, I got that thing floating. I went on, ran all the way up to Shirley Creek. That's where I was fishing that time of the year. Fishing timber lines, you know, like casting a worm, throwing a crankbait, you know, and ended up, let's just look at the standings where I ended up. So I had 9 pounds. Who is leading after day 2? Rick Clunn is now taking the lead. He had 5 for 17. Clayton Meyer from San Diego, 21 pounds. Who else? Homer Humphreys was in 6th with 10 pounds. Ray Scheid, James Moynihan, and there's Edwin Evers right in front of Cody Bird and Dickie Newberry. I had a 23 pounds. So you go to day 3. Rick Clunn wins the tournament. He had 8 pounds on the final day. This is the day I got stuck. I catch a whopping 4 fish for 10 pounds, 14 ounces, finished with 34 pounds. I moved to 6, and I won $6,000 back in 2002. That's a big, big payday for a 26-year-old single guy. But man, you kind of look down the list of people. Stacy King, Homer Humphreys, Dickie Newberry, Elton Luce, Jeff Crete, Mark Davis, Alan Head, David Curtis, Ray Scheid, Harold Allen, David Wharton, bless his soul, Chad Morgenthaler, just, man, the list of people that fished those. Mike McClellan, Kevin Short, some cool people. James Niggemeyer, Todd Faircloth, I can go on and on. Just Jeff McGee, Randy Dearman, Tim Carroll, John Sappington, Zell Rowland. I mean, it's just a name of who's who on that. I go on to finish 2nd in the points. Greg Hackney, he wins the points that year, and I'll never forget it. It was a monumental. You know, you always wonder, like, if I hadn't got off that island that day, I don't make the Classic, my boat's damaged, would I be sitting here today? You know, it's, I'll never forget it. I will never forget that moment of hitting that island. I can see it like it's as crisp as can be right now. And then I'll never forget the moment that I got off of it, that the bilges didn't kick on, that the thing floated. And, I mean, when I got the boat out that day, there wasn't a scratch on. I mean, there was scratches, but it wasn't like it was tore up, no fiberglass missing. Pretty cool deal. That is the backstory to making my 3rd Classic. Huge monumental deal back in the day. You know, sponsor bonuses, you know, just trying to survive to make the next tournament. You young guys that are out there right now watching this, we all know what it's like to survive, to fight one more day, to fish one more day, to fish one more event, to survive, to fish one more year. That's where I was at, you know, in my career. I was just trying to survive and make it one more event. And I survived. I got over that island that day, got it going downhill, got the boat floating, ran up to the upper end of Rayburn and caught 4 that weighed 10 pounds and finished 6th and finished 2nd in the points and made the end of the year championship. So there it is, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that story. One of those turning points in my career that, you know, who knows how it would have went, but ended up getting that boat floating. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tune in next week. We got the top 3 baits for the month of January.